most common questions we have before starting this preparation. It's always advisable to have the clarity about the different aspect of this exam instead of just randomly taking the classes and going for this exam. As I always say that the hard work should always be supported by the strategy. You should not just start reading a book, start attending a class, start writing answer without having the strategy. That means the clarity, like the how that reading 1 hour, reading 1 page, reading a book, attending 1 hour class or writing 1 answer is going to add to your preparation. Is it going to help me or not? That you should question yourself always. This is very important. It should not be like the everybody is reading the Lakshmikant. Everybody says that in order to cover the polity, you should read the Lakshmikant. That means you start from page 1 till the end. If you are doing like that, that means you are working hard, very good. But you are not working smart, that is not good. The smart means that you know when you are reading the first page of the Lakshmikant, that is the historical underpinning, you know that the what is required out of that book. Lakshmikant sir has written that book. He might not have given the exam, or he might have given the exam long back. Now the UPSC has evolved itself. The question patterns has changed. The focus area of UPSC has changed. So that book might be containing those content also which UPSC may not ask or may not prioritize. So how do you get best out of that content needs the clarity why and how the UPSC is asking question from that particular topic. So when I say that this is important, that is this is one aspect of the strategy, that is the analyzing the PYQ to identify what is important and what is not. That's the one part. Like that, there are different aspects of this preparation, like notes making, like how to cover the current affairs, what to cover in the current affairs from the newspaper and what to skip, how to make plan. These are small questions we should have the clarity, and with my experience of almost 5 years and multiple mains and the interviews, I would be sharing my experiences and my learnings about that and what worked for me and what did not work for me. That I will try to share with you, and so that it can aid to your preparation. Clear? So that is the objective of this series of classes. But before that, one disclaimer definitely. What worked for me may not work for you. See, I had started my preparation in 2021. That time many things worked, many things did not work. Now after 5 years, UPSC have changes, it keep on evolving. Now when I started this, AI was not there, ChatGPT was not there, or other AI tools were not there. Now this AI has become an integral part of this UPSC preparation. We cannot deny that. We cannot deny that, right? So now that is also an area where one should look. You can't just ignore it and say that I will be preparing without it when others of your competitors are doing that. So the point here is that what I will try to share is that my journey, but you should be thinking about it. What sir is saying is really making sense or not, and you should analyze that based on your strengths and weaknesses. And then you should prepare your own strategy. That should be my humble submission on this particular thing, that do not blindly follow what I'm saying, but think logically what I'm saying. Is it making sense? Is it helping you in preparation? If yes, adopt it. If not, modify it. And if at all not important, then just reject it. You should be free of it, right? It should not be like a ranker is saying, it should not be like a faculty is saying, it should not be like your friend is saying. You are a rational mind, you are going to be a civil servant, you are going to take the huge responsibilities of this country. So you should be, and it is expected from you that you take inputs from outside, you process that within your understanding and your mind, and then implement as per your need and as per your decisions, right? So that is the things I wanted to say before starting this. So in the series of these classes, the first thing is going to be the notes making. Why it is important, this the first session we are going to have on the notes making. The previous batch also I had begun with this particular topic, that is the notes making, because it's the most important area of this UPSC preparation, and one of the most important dilemma among the aspirant, like how to do that, whether to make notes or not, whether for prelims should we make notes, for mains, for optional, for current affairs, and then the question is how to do that. So those questions we'll try to discuss, and then we'll take your questions also on this particular thing, and from newspaper also how to make notes and whether to make notes or not, those all things. So within this, some questions we'll try to address. The first thing is that, first question we'll try to address is that why there is a need to make notes and how it helps our preparation in prelims, mains, optional and whatever, right? Notes making. The second thing is that when we should start making notes. Should we start from the day one, or should we wait, should we revise and then start making notes? Third, which subject we should prioritize making note, which subject we can ignore, or which subject really it helps making notes. Fourth is that then comes the how to make notes, and here in the how part we'll discuss about the mode of notes, that is online, offline, how you should make notes based on, I'll share my experience. I did all of them. For some subjects I have made offline, that is the handwritten notes. Some subject I have made digital notes. I'll try to show them also if possible. Okay, so we'll start with the first question. If anything else you want to know, I think this covers the holistically all the aspects of the notes making. If anything else is required, and then if come across your mind, let me know, and then we can add into it, right? So let's start with the first one, that is the why to make notes. See, notes are very important for number one, mains. The quality of answer, please mark this sentence what I am going to say. The quality of your answer will be directly proportional to quality of your notes in the mains part. It really happens. It really happens. The better notes you are having, the better answer you are going to replicate, because your answers are nothing but the replica of your notes. So for the mains, notes making becomes hugely important. Right? I'm saying for the mains. So I'll start with this mains only. For the mains, what happens is that the quality of answer is directly proportional to the quality of your notes. This is based on my experience. Really, it's very important aspect which should be considered. Like, so the notes of your mains should be properly prepared, because you are preparing for one whole year. I hope you are going to give for 2027, right? So when you are giving for 2027, you have ample amount of time to prepare your notes, right? So the quality of answers, this fact please remember, and keep reminding you that you need to have a proper notes for your answers, right? I know my friends who did not prepare notes, who just read the book and started writing. The problem there, what comes, you don't know how to improve, because you don't know the criteria. Suppose you are writing an answer, how will you judge that? You are judging based on the model answers given by the coaching institutes or whoever made the questions. Now every time for same question, what happens is that the second aspect, this is the first one. The second aspect is that for the improvement, what happens, suppose I am giving you an example. Suppose there is a topic. What subject is going on right now? Ancient history. Okay, in ancient history, let's talk about the Indus Valley civilization. Now in 2025, Indus Valley civilization question also came on its architecture. Now let's say you are giving a test. Let's not talk about the UPSC exam. Let's talk about a test. In the test question came give the significance of Indus Valley civilization architecture. Okay, that was the question. So now you on this IVC architecture, you wrote, let's say, 5 points. 5 points you wrote. Okay. Now you wrote, let's say, let me check how much I remember. I'm giving much detail so that you understand much because this should be very, very clear. Let's say the 5 point I talk about the architecture is that town planning. I'm writing short form. First is the how they made town planning. Second, the water harvesting structures, water harvesting system was also architecture. Third is the resident, like the citadel and the lower city, right? Citadel, this is the upper raised part and that part. Fourth is, let's talk about the how they make construction, the house construction, houses. So there are proper ventilation and the square shape and those all things are there. And the fifth thing, let's say I made here is the what is that called? Lothal. Lothal is known for the dockyard, right? Dockyard. Okay, dockyard, that port where the trade used to happen, right? These are the 5 points I wrote for the architecture. Now, how will I judge this? How do you re-improve it for the improvement? Okay, you wrote 5, very good. But definitely you can't stuck there, right? Your competitor might be writing 10 points. And you have written 5 points, though good points. But you might get here 4 marks. Your competitor may get the 5 mark or 6 mark because they have written more points. More the points, more the marks. But we can't write so many points because of the space constraint as well as the time constraint. But we keep a standard, like we will discuss about that in the answer writing sessions. Like for 10 marker, usually we write 10 points. For 15 marker, 15 points, like that. Suppose you did 10 marker, I wrote just 5 points. I may not get that much mark which my competitor gets. Now the question is that how will I improve it and how will I judge whether I have given where I can improve or where I could have drawn the diagram. For example, town planning, we draw diagram like this. You might have covered this in your sessions also, like the showing that grid pattern. Water harvesting structure you can't draw, houses are also difficult in dockyard, and drawing some map, these all things. Now, the person who don't have any notes, how they are going to improve this? They are going to see what? Model answers. In the model answers, let's say they have given 2 more points. 2 more points they have also given about the, let's say, some great bath. Let's say here the great bath we have not written is 1 point. You got new point. So what you will do, you will got to know, okay, one new point is there. Great bath, right? Then you saw, so you added this to whatever book you are having, let's say. And if you don't have the notes, you may not add it, you will just underline your model answer as the new point. Understand what happens when you write the answers. I am telling you the practical thing, what actually happens before you experience this. What will happen, suppose you don't have the notes, you wrote the 5 point and one new point you got, where you will update it. What you will do, you will underline there, thinking that when the exam will come, I will revise from here and then I will write the 6 points. Okay. Now you wrote another test after 1 month, let's say. Because you won't write one test, right? You will write multiple tests. Again the question came on the same Indus Valley civilization. This time you also got the great granary. They used to make the huge granaries, right? That's also architecture. Now what you will do? The second model answer, there you will underline. Now comes the just before exam. Now how many sources you have? Your book, from where you are reading, one model answer, second model answer, right? Let me tell you, this becomes very, very huge problem to replicate in such scenario. First of all, reading from multiple sources, you will confuse. 100% you will confuse. Second, the replication of your content is going to be less efficient. You may not be able to write those points or you will forget it. Okay, so that was the scenario for the person who is not making notes for such topic. Now let's come to the person who is the aspirant who is making the notes out of that particular topic. Now what he or she will do, suppose first of all they will check. Let's say in her notes there are 7 points and she could write only 5 points. So first of all she will compare, okay, how many points I could write, okay, this, oh I missed this great path. So what she will do, she will revise. So she is comparing not from outside, not from model answer, but first from her notes. Because ultimately she wants to replicate this. She could replicate only 5 points. So now she will revise so that in the next test she could write at least 1 extra point. So there is a standard for her. Now in case she get another point, great granary, which was not there in her notes, so what she will do? She will update it. Update the notes 1 more point. Now all the 7 points are at one place. Now she will be, just before the exam, quickly revise the 7 points, and the efficiency of implementation in the exam paper will be much higher compared to the person who is reading from 3 sources. And that is the difference it makes, my friends. Right? So that's why some efforts are required in the notes making. And that should also contain this, like the grid pattern, boxing it, citadel wala point, and then the small, you make small map in the side, and it should be the part of your notes where you are showing it, suppose here you have the river, Indus river, and then like this, and then here you show the different locations like the Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, Lothal, Kalibagan, like this, few sites you are showing. So this is this way you add the value, and this should be in your notes. Then only you can replicate it. Otherwise you can't innovate. Yes, somewhere you can innovate, but not 100%. Okay? So these things required to be there in your notes, and that way it helps in the improvement of your answers as you write more and more tests. Making sense? Yes or no? Huh? Okay. The third reason is the integration. The third reason why one should make note is the integration of content. Now, how we integrate? See, your notes is going to be the compilation of your class note, class lecture, NCERT you will read for whatever subject you will read. Then you might be reading the standard book, standard reference book. Let's say for the polity you are reading the in the book. Then you also get from current affairs. Then you also write the model answers, that is the answers test. So your approach should be, your notes should be the integration of this content, because you can't rely at one source. So definitely you will now attending the class, sir might be giving some content, then you might feel like that this is not sufficient, some question, something, most of the time it will be sufficient, but you know that there are going to be some current affairs. Let's say the new Indus Valley site has been identified somewhere recently. Now it is expected from a UPSC aspirant to write that, mention that in your answer, and that might not be covered by the sir in the class, but that has to be integrated. Now you have to bring that in your notes. So that is also a point you have to bring at one place. So your notes will be the integration of the different content, because you can't read these five things. Remember, it's not possible. Please put your mind. Like you can't keep the same topic content at the different places. It has to be integrated, and that integration place would be your notes. Right? See, I am telling you based on the things. First, it's not be like from the beginning you are doing these all things. First, that our class note is the primary source. Then other things comes. We keep on integrating there. Clear? So these, I think, with my experience, the 3-way notes helps in the revision, quick revision, in the integration of content, quality enrichment of your content, and then the comparative improvement of your answers compared to your previous answers. Making sense? Okay. Now let's go to the. It's clear, right? Now we'll go to the next topic, next aspect of this notes making session, that is when to start making notes. See, before that, what you need to know is that notes, generally we write of 2 types of notes. One is that the comprehensive note, you can say the long notes, and the second is short notes. 2 types of notes we make. I have also the 2 types of note. I have my short notes for the quick revision, where I keep those points which I forget usually. Here, see, when I thought about this 7 points, I could recall this 5 point very easily, but I was forgetting these 2. I may forget the locations, I may forget the year, I may forget the some of the current affairs, let's say. So in my short notes, I won't write these things because I could recall them very easily because of my multiple revisions. So what I will keep in my short notes is that only those things which I forget, maybe the time, year I may forget. I may forget the king's name. I may forget the examples for the Dravid temple architecture, let's say the Ajanta, Ellora, what was found there. I may forget that. So I'll keep that in my short note, not everything. But the comprehensive note, long note, contains all points. And when I revise, I find that, okay, this is the point I am missing multiple times. So what I will do, I'll keep that in my short notes. So that during revise, I revise this more time, and just before the examination, I revise my short notes. So that is the purpose of making the long notes and short notes. Long notes is the integration of everything, having everything comprehensively. Short note is something which you are forgetting out of the long notes. So which requires your multiple attention, multiple revision, then only you are able to produce it. Most of the time data, Supreme Court judgments, committee names, articles. For these things we make the short notes, not for everything. For example, this is my GS notes. So here what I have, for example, art and culture, I don't have everything. I have only few things like the framework and see, this is the very small thing, like the government initiative I can forget the article, act, scheme. So like this I can forget these things, so that's why I keep them at one place. So for you, what you forget may be different. For you, like the for Indian society, let's say, here what I forget is that I have this conclusion, some data, see here, current population 1.42 billion, population percentage, mostly data, see. So this only I use for my revision. Some graph I forget, so I keep them also like this. So this is what I wanted to say, is that the short notes. So long notes, short notes. Long notes which is most comprehensive, and the short notes, as I shown you just now, like that we create just before the exam. So the problem here you will face, for you when you are attending the classes, you will have very less time to prepare the long notes, because you are already attending then your GS classes, then optional classes, and then revising them, and then again reading NCERT and these all things, and then the preparing notes is going to be very difficult. That I understand. For me is that I didn't have the coaching, I was doing my self study, so I had the time to read and then save time for the notes making, so that luxury I had, but you don't have that. But you have one benefit, is that you are getting the notes in your class, right? But you have to smartly utilize that for your notes making, right? For that you need to manage your copy, your notebook properly. If you're not giving proper spaces, And if you think like that, that is going to be your final notes, or if you think that you are going to make again the notes after you are done with these classes, is going to be difficult. Imagine, see, the classes will go till maybe October, maybe till December. Sorry, what is this month? April. So till December. And by January you will start preparing for the prelims for 2027, January, February. So when you have time for this notes making, you are not going to have that. So if you really want for 2027, if you want for 2028, then you will be having proper time. But if your goal is 2027, then my suggestion would be to utilize your class notes smartly. What you are getting in the class. So in order to utilize your class notes smartly, you need to have the structure of your class notes, which will depend on the faculty. See, faculty teach in their best possible way. They do in their best way. But it has to be your note, right? It has to be your note. So how you are going to make the faculty's note your note, that is something you have to think. Now suppose the class, let's say the IVC class is going on. Now the most probably the thing is that the notes might start with the sir is giving some background of IVC maybe. You may start writing that also in the class. I don't know, I have not seen the notes. But let's say he is giving some background about the IVC, which might be important for your understanding point of view, to understand the topic, but which might not be important for your writing answer, right? Our note should be something which has to be replicated in your exam. Your mind should work like that always, because ultimately we want this knowledge. Do we want to know about IVC? Who cares about IVC? What you care is that clearing about the exam, isn't it? We are not here for the knowledge purpose. Yes, the knowledge will be developed, but tell me what is the primary objective for you being here? To clear the exam. You're not here for the knowledge. For that you have to go to the college, university, and get the PhD, do the masters and do the research in the IVC, if you have the interest. So you are not here because you love history, you love IVC, to read IVC. You are here to clear the exam, and you need that content which helps you to clear the exam. What you will do with having a huge knowledge about the IVC? What you will do? Ultimately what you want content, you want the knowledge which is useful for write an answer or solve an MCQ, so that you can clear the exam. So that's why I say repeatedly, the knowledge which does not help you to write an answer or solve an MCQ is waste for you as an aspirant. It might be helpful for our personality to know. It's always good to have the knowledge, but not for an aspirant, I think. That might be a radical statement to say, but that's truth I understood. I don't need to know everything as an aspirant. So don't try to know everything. It's not required to know everything to clear this exam. Right? So you have to be smart, strategic to choose what you should know to clear the exam. Now, how will you know that? That's the question, because it feels like everything is important. Isn't it? When you sit in the class, or when right now in the situation you are, you might be thinking like everything is important. Even to know like how that camera works might be asked in the mains in the GS3 technology part. So let me know about it also. Right? It might, we think like that when we are the beginners. So how do you know that what is important will help you to make your notes? And that's why the next question is that when to start notes making depends on whether you know what is important or not. Otherwise you will dump everything in your notes. That's the problem. Okay. So when you are covering the IVC, sir might be start with the background and which is required for you. But every note has to start with an introduction. What you are going to write an introduction if any question asked on IVC. Right? That should be the first part of your notes. Now what I write in the IVC is that, see, history answers should contain 3 P. One is that period, that is time, place, that is the locations, and the personality. For IVC, what I need to know, what is the time period, right? Like around 3000 BC. I'm not sure exactly. I may be wrong, approximately 3000 to 1300 BC. I need to know this time period. I have to mention in my answer. Second is that place. I need to draw a map. And so some map here like this, which I shown just. So I need to know the locations. That is the places like the Mohenjo-daro, etc. And third, I need to know the personality. What personality? Dayaram Sahni. Who identified R.D. Banerjee or some people, personalities are involved who discovered the Harappan civilization. So these things I write in the intro part. So I need to know these things. So it should be in your intro part. If you feel like, and I would suggest you to always leave some space here, just beneath the topic when you're starting, leave some space in your notes. Then start what sir is saying or ma'am is saying. That will give you luxury to write the introduction, which you may get later. You may not know right now what introduction to write. I told you about the history, that's why you know. For polity, what you should write, you may not know. So it's always advisable to leave some space so that 3 lines at least you can write there later. That's the point number 1. Then fill everything with your whatever sir is giving or ma'am is giving the content. So if it is your notes, I'll suggest you to leave the upper part and the lower part and this side. Anyhow, your answer booklet for the UPSC is going to be like this only. They will be having the line here also. You have to start from somewhere here, end somewhere here. You have to leave the space like this. So please keep it if you want to make your class note as your primary note. If you want to make your own note later, if you want to work like 18 hours, then that's a different case. Right? 12 hours of class and study, and then the 6 hours you want to do for the notes making. If you are a superhuman, then you can do, but I think that's not possible, right? So the smart way is that how you do that here itself. There's nothing wrong in it, right? If you think like okay sir, it will take more pages, take money from me and purchase the notebook. That's not an issue. But don't waste your time. Your time is more precious here than any notes. And don't think like it is going to be the bulky. You're not going to go in the metro and have this book and read like that. Let it be bulky. You are going to sit in the study hall or in your table. What's wrong in it? People think like the 1-pager notes. There is going on in the world, like the UPSC world. That the 1-pager note. Count the number of words now. If you're writing 1000 words in 1 page versus you're writing 1000 page in 10 page, what's the difference? If you revise, it will take the same time. Just that you can walk and read one, another you have to sit and read. Who walks and read? Isn't it? So don't worry about like it's taking much more space, it is taking bulky notes. Doesn't matter. For one paper, that is GS1, have one note like that which you are having. It's very good. Right? So don't worry about the number of pages. Care about the number of words. So I suggest you to write in this form so that later on you can update here. And always suppose the IVC is going on, then next topic they are starting is, let's say, Vedic. Right? First of all, you should know the index, and sir might be telling like okay, new topic we are starting. So between these two, suppose you have the notes here, just leave some space here. Okay, so when he is writing giving the features of IVC, then the spaces. And my point here is getting what I'm trying to say. There should be the space for your points later, which you will get from the other sources which I told you. What sources? NCERT, these things, so that you can have some space later to update your notes. If not getting, then also leave it. It's always good to read the things which are in the proper spacing. That's the first. Spacing is important. The second is that the alignment is important. Please align your answers. Suppose I'm writing like the Vedic. So this is the first Vedic period. Let's say I'm writing. So the first, it will start with the introduction to Vedic. So I should write the points from here. See this Vedic. You're writing intro. The point should be like this. Then you're writing, let's say, the features. So let's say under the features, you are writing about the first feature, you are writing about the early Vedic, let's say, early Vedic. And here you are writing the points. Okay. Second, let's say you are writing the later Vedic period. Then here you write the points. My point here is that the alignment should be there, like these are subtopics, right? So it should be aligned, and then within this point it should be aligned. You're seeing this. Now check your notes. Many times we don't align. We write everything like this. I told you, right? Your answers in actual exam is going to be the replica of your notes. So the quality of notes you will make, the alignment, the spacing you will make, the same you will implement in your own answers. So learn this from the day one. I learned in my last attempt where I got selection. Actually, I learned this year only. If you see my answers, you will find this. Earlier, I used to write like everything from like this. So it's difficult to identify which is the topic, which is the subtopic, which is the other subpoint. So make sure that you are properly aligning your answer so that your notes become the quality. So these are the things. Acha. So what I said is that make notes from here itself. Now itself. But don't make parallel notes. That will waste a lot of time. Notes making should not be parallel of the class. You won't get that much time. Invest that time in reading and revising those notes. Don't make the parallel note. Please don't make that mistake. Because right now you don't know what is important and what is not. It's very difficult. Even if I'll tell you for every topic there is the different requirement, it's not possible to tell also. Right? So the first priority should be reading and understanding. Reading and understanding the concept. Then there should be the PYQ. You see what questions they are asking on this whatever you are reading. Then there should be revision. Revision number 1. Then there should be again writing some question or the solving some test. Then again there should be revision, and then there should be the notes making, I think. Because if you are making your own notes, because until and unless you have not seen the PYQ, you have not written this, you won't realize what is important, what is not. You will feel like everything is important, you will dump everything in your notes. So if you want to make your own notes, until and unless you don't cross these stages, my suggestion is not to make notes. And this is the point where you will be ready to make the short notes. Don't make right now short notes. Don't fall into it, right? Short notes has to be here. And I'm really sure that by the time you reach your mains, you will be ready. You must have definitely seen the PYQ, must have revised at least twice your notes, and then you know that this material is waste, this is important, this is I am able to recall, this I am forgetting. So based on that, you will be having very good note, useful note, not good note, not flowery note. The notes which helps you to write good answers, solve the questions, that will be the good notes I would consider. Okay. It's very important. 2 revisions are very important. PYQ and 1 test is very important before writing the test. Before writing the notes. Now comes the question is that you understood when, for which subject we should make notes. Which subject? See, one thing I told you very clearly. First is that for mains it is compulsory. For mains compulsory. You have to have your notes. Now here also there is the hierarchy. The first preference would be your optional. Your optional you need to have most comprehensive notes. Optional is the top priority. The second is ethics. Ethics you need to have very good notes, because there are clear top points are given, and most probably I will be teaching ethics, so you won't be having the problem here. You will get very good notes as per the requirement of the exam, direct question answer. And then third is GS1, because this is a static part and it is always you will be having the importance to have the notes for the static, something which does not change. So Indian society, history, geography. Okay. Then the third is GS2, because Lakshmikant is not sufficient for the mains. That's why here notes making becomes important. Then the point comes is the GS3. Here also the first priority should be disaster management, then internal security, then make for agriculture, then make for the environment, do not make economy, some topics you can make, and then the environment. I'm giving the priority which helps. Disaster management, direct question will come. Internal security, direct question. Agriculture, direct question. So you can utilize your notes. Economy, you don't know from where question will come. It is more analytical. So even if you have the proper notes also, whether it will be useful or not, we don't know that. Here also IR notes helps. Then the governance, it's very difficult to don't make it. The polity and then the governance. Here all are important to make notes. For mains, right? Prelims I have never made notes, because prelims brings the feeling of missing out. What happens is, you know that when you make notes, let's say the IVC, you make note for the prelims, you will always feel like the something is missing, which is there in the other book, it's not there in my notes. What if this question will come in the prelims? You always feel like that. But in the mains, it's not a problem. Let's say you don't have great granary point in your mains, it is not going to have the huge impact. You might miss, let's say, the 0.25 mark. But in the prelims, if you don't know about the great granary, you may miss how many mark? 2 mark. You can't solve that question at all. You're getting the difference. In the mains, you have the luxury to choose what you're going to write in that particular answer. But in prelims, the question will be given in a particular way and you need to know that. Now, imagine the scenario, you are taking only which you like in your notes and you're leaving many things. Then the question may come from there. Then you may feel like you might not be able to solve the question. So for prelims, what was my strategy? That again, the disclaimer, remember that you can follow your own. My strategy was, for prelim, I followed my reference book. I revised from there itself. And I used to update for the prelims point of view, factual thing. Mains, my notes were the mostly mains oriented. But you have this benefit that the classes are going integrated, pre-plum, mains. So there you will be getting both content parallel. So I was doing self-study, so that was a problem for me. I was not getting that. So you are getting the both content, that the pre and mains. So you are having one note. I think both will be the sufficient. So you won't be having the problem for the pre-notes. But for prelims, you have to read the reference book. For example, I asked not to read to my students like some topic. I asked them not to read any book for the disaster management, internal security, agriculture. Somehow you can read. Environment, economy is required. Governance not required. IR not required. For here, the society not required to read the book. Ethics book, if you are attending the classes, not required. Here also, ethics also. But rest of the subject, you need to read the reference book, because there you need the more clarity. For example, you need to have here the clarity, because MCQ will come. Here there is no questions from in the prelims. This is not the part of the prelims. IR means that mains part. Governance also, it's not the part of prelims. Society not the part of prelims. Ethics not the part of prelims. So you can have the 2-page note for each topic, and if you have the proper understanding, you can write the answers. But other subject, you need to read the reference book. Okay, so that would be for the pre and mains. For optional, it is compulsory. For these things, it is compulsory. For essay, I'll give you the notes. You don't have to worry about it. Like some quotes and some anecdotes are required. Rest of the thing we utilize from here itself. Now I have explained you like how to make notes on this way. This way you have to make notes, but this way, this is also the answer to that, like how to make notes. One thing I would try to tell you is that in the how part, see, for any topic, let's say ocean current, is it covered? Ocean current covered, right? Okay. I'm asking for the topic so that you can relate to it. Now, ocean current, this is the topic, subtopic from the oceanography. So from oceanography, there is ocean current is a topic. Now, the thing is, what you are going to make notes out of it? Are you going to make notes what NCERT is saying, what book is saying, or what lecture you have provided? You need to validate that with the what UPSC is asking. So what they are asking is that definition you need to have for the introduction of ocean current. You need to have the ocean current, how it is flowing, the map, the different types of ocean current they are asking. They are asking about the mechanism of flow, how it works. Like like that there is sinking and there is upwelling, downwelling, it happens, and then there is haline circulation is there, right? So what is the mechanism? Then they ask about the significance. What is the significance of ocean current? Then they ask about the climate change impact on ocean current. Then they can ask, you need to have a conclusion. So I need to have this aspect. How do I know this? Based on the PYQs. So on ocean current, I need to see the PYQ, what aspects of ocean current they have asked. What they have asked. Have they asked the significance? Have they asked the impact of climate change? What they have asked. So I need to have this in my mind, like the within ocean current, what they are asking. Right? So that way I will be having the clarity, okay, for these things I need to have the notes. Then you start having notes for these things. Right? Now, in the class, you might be getting these things. You might miss, let's say, some aspect of climate change impact on the ocean current in the thing. That's why you have the space where in the corner you can write the small bullet points, impact of climate change on the ocean current. So that way your notes become comprehensive. Okay. So whenever I make the notes, what I do is that index every notes. Even you can ask your senior, the previous batch who have the notes of ethics. I have taught them. I have taught some quality also in not for the long term. I think for the crash course. So I always prefer to give them the index. What we are going to cover. Like you see, here. Suppose you are making notes for the notes making. Notes on notes making. So the first thing you need to have the index. Like what are there in this particular thing, topic. You're getting? So that will be that is structuring our lecture, right? You know like what is coming next. I know how to go in this lecture, so it is suitable for me also, for you also. So suppose you want to revise only on how, then you will see the index and you check, okay, how is in the 4th page. So you'll go for the page number. I used to keep the page number also. If you see my optional note properly, I have the index, I have the page numbers. Okay. So like this index for every topic. For example, IBC topic is there. So you need to have the index for IBC. I mean what things are there, intro, what are the features of IBC, what are how it declined, right? That's also the question, different sites. And then the conclusion, like that we need to have the index. So if let's say that in any class you are not getting indexed by the faculty, so what you need to know, you need to have the space for it. So have the space for, if the chapter, let's say the Mauryan period is starting, so write the Mauryan period here. Let's say the Mauryan period is the next chapter, Mauryan period. Mauryan period is the next chapter. So let's say the faculty is not giving the index. So what do? Leave the first page. So later on you create the index as the class ending. So you see that highlight the box, the key subtopic, and just make an index out of it. I'm telling you, it will help you a lot to navigate through your notes, because your note is going to be bulky. If you don't have the index, then it will be difficult to navigate through your notes and revise them, right? So that is the thing, that is the having the index is very important when you have the bulky notes, okay, and the properly having the clarity, like the what subtopics you are going to cover on that. Now, mode of notes depends on your convenience. I made notes for optional completely handwritten notes. For GS, I have made completely digital notes. I tried digital notes for the Indian economy, GS3, but since economy is a dynamic topic, I had to throw it because it became outdated. Data outdated, then the example outdated, and so then I prefer to make the digital notes. So it's your convenience. In digital notes, what happens is that you can delete, you can add, you can then I used to get the printout, because you have to avoid your phone and your gadgets during the exam, I mean the before exam. So I used to get printouts and then the revise. Okay, so that was my strategy for the mode, that is for optional handwritten, because that's static, fixed one. My optional was agriculture, so it's a static subject, so I don't have much thing to update. So I preferred the long notes. For the dynamic thing, for GS1, GS1 you can have the handwritten notes. For other, I had the digital notes. But you are making, everyone is making the handwritten notes only. So that's fine, I think. But in short notes, you can try. If you are good at typing, then you can do that, or you can make the handwritten notes also. That's your choice. It's upon your convenience. I have good typing skill, because I was working for 4 years, and there I used to write some articles for our organization. So I had that habit. So that's why it suited me. It might suit you, might not. So that is your convenience. So there is no issue in it. What is more important is that how you are organizing your notes. Very important. Short notes especially. Okay, it should be the topic wise. So time has crossed, but one aspect I have left is that the current affairs notes making, that we will cover in the separate class, because that will take a lot of time. We need to know how to let's integrate that, how to read the current affairs, especially the newspaper, along with that, then how to make notes out of it. Yes, notes making is required from the newspaper, not in a way we make, but there are certain things we need to get from the newspaper, that we will cover in the separate class. Okay, any doubt till here? What we have covered on this 5 aspect? No? Okay.